Hi, folks. I've been working with a few of you independently, and I noticed not being in the classroom, there's little housekeeping things that I don't catch that you're doing, and I want to try to help you with them. So one of them is if you go up into your preferences under General Preferences, there's a button here called Scale, Strokes, and Effects. You want to make sure that's clicked. What happens if you don't, I will show you. I was importing this image here, so I had it in this file here, and I selected all, I copied, and then I pasted it in here, and I realized, whoa, it's much bigger. So this tool here, this can scale to an exact percentage. So I made it 10%, and look what happened. It's totally wacky. Well, what's happening here is that the strokes are not scaling. So that means this stroke at 100, at whatever it was, 800% taller, bigger, stayed the same. So you want the stroke to change relative to the size of your scaling of your file. So I'm just doing Command Z. So again, I'm going to go up into Illustrator here, into Preferences. I think in the PC it's down at the bottom of the list. So again, you want to make sure that says Scale, Strokes, and Effects. And another thing that I just noticed while I was in here, every once in a while it's good to spend some time in here, is that it had an interesting toggle in here, interface. So this is showing the preview of your tools. So I think they're fine, small, but if you want them to be bigger, you can click and they'll be bigger there. And another thing that I want to make bigger, these titles of these things aren't necessarily obvious to me, so I'm going through all this one's taking a bit. It was, where was it? See, it's good to spend some time in here. Smart Guides, Slices. Here it was. Okay, sorry. So the anchor points, handles, and bounding box displays, they can be bigger. You know what I'm trying to show you on the screen, they're so small. So I'm going to make those bigger, so hopefully you'll be able to see them. So again, there's lots of things to find in preferences. Don't go crazy changing a lot of things because you might change something that you don't want to change. But this is a place you'd go to find different preferences that will open up every time you open the program. So it's not specific to a document, it's specific to how Illustrator works. Okay, so another thing I want to show you is I noticed a lot of you, when you open up your controls, you've got a lot of different boxes here, and one of them is a big Learn box because you're new to using the program. I like to keep all of my tools relatively small over here. So again, when you need to open a new tool that's not showing, you would come over here to this toolbox over here. It's called Windows. So say I wanted to show my brushes. So when I click on this, it shows me this brush palette, okay? So very often there's pairs, so brushes and symbols come together. And again, when you hit the hamburger, it shows you lots of different things. But what you can do is when you have a big window like this, you can go and make it smaller. So you can scroll this up and down, which I'm sure you've already figured out, but you can click on this to expand it or make it smaller. So until you're familiar with all the symbols, you might want to have yours all this width. So you can drag all of these, and when it hovers and turns to a blue line, then you have that showing there. So you can go and drag them there. So some that you decide you're not using very much, you can pull out. And after you pull them as separate, you can click that X box, okay? So this is one libraries that a lot of people use often. I tend to not. It's where you keep something that you use a lot. Maybe there's an arrow you like to use or a logo for yourself that you put on everything. You put that in your library so it's easy to get to. So then you can go and click and put them in here. You gotta get the sweet spot. Let me close this and then drag it over. They're going separately, that's fine. Oops, I don't know why that showed up again. You may want to change the order too, depending on where you put them. And I didn't quite get that sweet spot, did I? So I need to, there I go. Okay, so that's a little bit managing these so that when you pop them open, you have lots of room to see things. Okay, so you're not trying to squeeze down a little box. Another thing I want to talk to you about are managing your layers and color. So this job here has, oh, I just noticed this pattern here didn't scale. So I'll need to go back into preferences and find why this pattern didn't scale. See, this pattern should be the same scale as this pattern here. So that needs to be corrected. But you can see here there's a common color palette that's being used. This table color is the same here. This pink background is used within here. It's used within other parts of the exhibit as well. This is from an exhibit. This bright yellow is the same bright yellow. There's common colors. The green on these carrots is the same green on this piece of lettuce here. And this was actually done in 3 languages, so each language is a different color, so you can always find your language. The thing I also want to show you is a little bit about technique. So notice this wood grain. It's very flat looking, and this gray line in the plate to give the plate some definition. This is a very simplistic. You move something off the screen, you can shrink down until you can find it again, because it's a very big artboard. So this is a nice flat simplistic way of drawing. You may want to do things with a lot of depth. So I am going to post on the videos some brush techniques. So I tend to not use brushes very often. I don't use gradients very often either. So I've given you a lesson on gradients, and instead of giving you a lesson on brushes, I will give you some brush tips later on. But I found a really nice video in LinkedIn, so you can look at those videos. When you go to click on them, if you have trouble accessing them, you give me feedback, let me know. You have access to all the LinkedIn learning videos via your FIT account. So when you click on it, hopefully it just asks you to log into FIT. If it doesn't, if it's more complicated, what you would do is go into Blackboard, and you see LinkedIn Learning right here in Blackboard. So you would click on there. That would open a window for you to access LinkedIn Learning. Okay, so back to colors. So this particular exhibit here, I can click on this, and this is a color palette that comes pre-standard with every Illustrator file that you open. But you can customize it for your project. You can say, select all unused, and see this white box that's showing around those unused colors, and then I can delete those. Those are the ones I'm not using. And then there's some colors in here that aren't showing up, so I can say add selected colors. So when I do that, sorry, let me let me just drag this over here and say add selected colors. And there it goes. It has added all the colors that I'm using in this document. So you may find that, oh, I've got, look at all these reds. I don't need that many. So you might want to simplify and delete some of those reds. So when you take a color and throw it away, it's going to say, do you want to delete that? And you may or may not want to do that. So this is a nice way of organizing all of your colors because they can get unwieldy at some point. I'm going to show you now this project that I've worked on, and these are the colors for this. So the blue is a major color in the background, but then I've got some unusual colors for buildings. I've got these pinks and salmon colors and this purple. So that's just to liven it up because then it's also mixed with some taupes. And then the earth is brown, the grass is green, the water is a turquoise color because I've got so much blue sky, so I wanted to make it a little bit different. But so how I often work building something up like this is I put a row of little boxes up here and I copy, paste, and I get all these little boxes and I start playing with color. Adding color is my favorite part of a project. So if you click on the palette, you can see the CMYK value. So I'm going to take all of these. Actually, I'm going to get rid of that outline. And I am going to play with the CMYK value. So you can flip this up, flip it down, flip this one. Maybe you want to add a little black, maybe not. And then you can go on to the next one. Add some magenta, add some yellow, add some cyan, and then do another one. Maybe you want something much more purplish. So I'm going to pull back the yellow and add more blue. And so when I look at these three colors, they don't look like they're in harmony. So these two feel like they're in harmony. This one's too intense. So do I add its complement to it? So that can dense it down. So purple's complement is yellow, so that would play that down a bit. Or maybe I liked that bright color, and so what I want to do is make these two more vibrant. So again, I very often pull back on the complement to that. So this one is a green, so the complement to that would be magenta. So I pull out some of that magenta. So I've got this palette of some more intense colors. So I like to, and then I copy and I paste and I just keep making more colors. I think, you know what, I should have an orange in here. So I'll go and I'll put up the magenta and I'll pump the yellow, and that feels in harmony with this, but now maybe it doesn't feel in harmony with that. But I'm going to keep going. I need a green in here that's more of a darker green. And then maybe I need a red. I don't have a red in here, so I'll pump up that. Red actually is often made by equal parts yellow and magenta, and then you can add in some cyan to make it brighter or not. So that's how I like to play with colors. Now I look at these and they don't look in harmony, and I spend a lot of time getting that balance right. But then once I get these colors, then I can go and select them, go into my color palette, and I can say add selected colors, and then they show up there. I'm going to Command Z that. But by putting them in these little boxes, I can see the colors and start to feel a balance. But you might have a background that's going to be this purple. So maybe what you do is you take that purple and you put all of these colors on it. Let me make that color go to the back to see how that's working together. Or you might want to make sure that you have a color that's very light that stands up against some, if you've got a lot of dark colors, maybe you want a lot of dark colors, but you need one or two bright colors to stand up against that. So you're going to play with the balance of that. Okay?